my name is Rania and welcome to Publishing 101. I'm a teen author currently writing my first poetry book. Well, not writing, I'm done with writing, I'm done with editing. Currently in the process of publishing, I suppose you could say. And today I'm going to cover topics such as how to publish your book, self versus traditional publishing, which are two main ways to publish, why I personally chose self-publishing as a teen author, tips on making book covers, Canva, tips on formatting a book, as well as marketing and how to market your book. Alright, so we're gonna get started first with how to publish your book. So in order to answer this question, which I recently got as a comment on one of my videos, I suppose there's two different ways to publish your book, and this kind of merges with self versus traditional publishing as well. So there you can go for traditional publishing, which is when you have to sort of submit your book to publishers, send them copies or even email them constantly so that they can read or look through your book at least, or even read the blurb for that matter, so that they can decide if your book is something that they personally want to publish. This process can take months on months, if not years. There are so many authors out there, so many books waiting to get published at a publisher's office or in a publisher's email. And while there are a lot of publishers, there are more books and more authors, especially since now we have people of all age groups writing books. Because of this, traditional publishing, I believe at least, is usually for those who are, educated in literature and writing, and they know 100% what they're doing. Most of the time, people who send their book to the publishers and get accepted are people who have, done this in university, they've studied and they've learned and they have a lot more experience, and this is most probably their job. Like being an author is their job, or being a poet. So they obviously have a lot more experience, hence why it's so competitive. While I don't discourage people from traditional publishing, I think it's a great tool because they handle almost everything. They handle the marketing, they handle, the formatting, they handle everything. So they become like the manager of your book, so to speak, which makes it a lot easier for you as an author. However, the other route to take is you do self-publishing. There's more than one way to do self-publishing, but the way that's most popular nowadays, and also I suppose the most effective as well as trusted, is KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publish. So even though you publish it through Amazon, you're still publishing your book. You're publishing it through KDP. This is a great platform for people who want to self-publish their book. I am sure there are many others. But as for all of the research I've done in the past 2 months, the most reliable, the most used, and the most popular for self-publishing is Kindle Direct Publishing, which is why that's what I'm doing. That's basically the answer. You could either go for traditional publishing, which would mean you contact publishing firms and you contact all of these places, you contact publishers, and you figure out if they want your book or not. You really got to shoot your shot wherever you can. It is, again, a lot more harder. And I think one thing to really consider is that if you're a teenage or a young author, I personally suggest self-publishing, and I will get more into that later, but it's less because it's easier, but it's more easier in the sense that, your book can get picked up. I mean, you can publish your book whenever you want, you have more freedom, and it's all in your hands. It is in some ways harder, but it's easier in the sense that it's all up to you. You don't have to go through the hassle of having meetings, of emailing thousands, if not, hundreds of publishers and publishing teams.
I forgot to mention that you would need to hire a literary agent for this who would then do all of these things for you.
Only for half of them maybe to not respond to you, the other half maybe to respond to you but not take, you seriously, or not give your book a chance. It's a little bit like sometimes after just giving the blurb a read, some people just like they drop the book. They don't want to publish it. They don't think it's good enough. So there is obviously the risk of all your hard work, or if you feeling like all your hard work is, was a complete waste of time. But that's not really the reason that I chose self-publishing. Okay, I think I should just move on to that now. So I kind of explained the difference between self and traditional publishing. But another main difference, I think I mentioned this briefly earlier too, is that with traditional publishing, they are managing your book. So from book cover to editing to formatting, from A to Z, they handle everything after you hand them that first, draft. Essentially, even if you've edited it once, that like first or second draft, whichever, they do everything, right? However, if you're self-publishing, you do everything, which means from formatting your book to marketing your book to making the book cover to getting it edited or editing it yourself, you handle it all, which makes it tough. The main reason that I chose self-publishing was not only because I just don't think I think that there's so much competition with books nowadays and between authors as well, that I feel like there are multiple and many other better authors and better books out there who deserve to be published traditionally, these are authors who made this their career, who have worked for, who've done their undergrads and had a master's and a PhD and whatnot, and they're truly like, this is their main goal in life, right? And I am not that person. I am just a teen author who has a passion for writing and who converted her passion into a book. And I know that there are so many other people like me out there. And even though I'm sure some of your books are absolutely crazy, self-publishing doesn't mean that your book can't become a book talk book or a popular book, or it can't go viral, or it's not a good book. Essentially, self-publishing is another more creative, more modern, more independent way to publish. So I think that's a better way to think about it. And the other thing is, as I've been, doing all of this for my book, from like making the book cover to formatting and stuff, I have been learning so many new skills. Obviously I use a lot of Canva in school and stuff, and even like outside of school for posters and whatnot. I use a lot of Canva. But making a book cover has just, taught me even more. It's over-exaggerated my skills in the sense that it has made me much better at using Canva. So that's something that I learned. Not that I newly learned how to use it, but I've bettered my skills. Another thing was that personally, I'm not much of a Word, Microsoft kind of gal myself, but I do use it whenever I have to. And it's the same with Google Docs and things too. I don't use them that often. I'm a Canva girl through and through. But for formatting, I've had to use Google Docs and Word, and I've learned so much. So many tools that I did not know existed just through the concept of self-publishing. I've learned how to market my book, and just in general how to market things. The main reason that I created this YouTube channel is to market my book. More on that later though. So these are some reasons that I chose self-publishing. The other big reason, which wasn't even that big of a reason, it's also just something I have to add to the traditional versus self-publishing thing, is that traditional publishing, in that the publishers take a cut out of the money that you get when somebody buys your book. However, from self-publishing, you don't have to pay to get your book published. It's free, but they take the only money that they take is when, for example, somebody purchases your book, okay, say on Amazon, they will take a cut out of that just for printing. So the only money that they really take is for the actual resources that go into printing the book. Whether it's hardcover or paperback, they take a certain percentage out of the total amount of money that you would get. Which means it is technically, I mean, at a larger scale, it wouldn't really matter. Like if you're Holly Jackson or something, it doesn't really matter to you. But say if you're a small author, then it does sort of matter. Like, you know, every book counts. So I think it's very important to mention that as well. All right. I think now I've covered practically everything that is self versus traditional publishing, and if there's something I missed, then I'm gonna make like a little chart at the end of this segment, which it now has ended, so after I yap, which is like self traditional publishing. Editor me, remind me to add that. Next part. So this, I love this part. Tips on making book covers. So, okay. I have been making okay, maybe I should give you guys like a little sneak peek. Hold up, I'm gonna pull up my book. But basically, I have been using Canva. With book covers, it goes like this. The first thing you have to do is make it, if you're doing it on Canva, or even if you're doing it on Word or something, change the trim size so that it's the same as the rest of your book, so that it's easy to put on your book. On like the first page of your book. Then, I would say that you really have to think about the bigger picture. Now, think about it this way. This is how I like to do it, right? So, out of like the 3 drafts that I made until now, none of which I'm really fully convinced with, I like to do this. I like to imagine them as book covers, and I like to go like, think about it like if I walked into a little bookstore and I, you know, saw this book on the shelf. Would I buy it? Would I buy it? Like, that's how I like to imagine it. Because to be really honest, and this is like, I don't mean this in a hateful way to any authors or anything, but when I go into a bookshop, sure, sometimes I know what I'm gonna buy. Like sometimes I'm like 100% clear. Like, okay, I'm gonna go for that Virginia Woolf. I'm gonna go for that George Orwell. But sometimes when I'm just, you know, window shopping or browsing, so to speak, I get intrigued by book covers. The only reason, frankly, that I bought Powerless, apart from the fact that my friend was like really begging me to buy it because she was like, it's so good, was because I loved the cover. While I did read the blurb, of course, like I knew I always know what I'm getting into, but the first thing that catches my eyes is the book cover. I don't judge a book by its cover, but I find a book by its cover. So a cover is definitely a very, very key part. And honestly, I think it might also be maybe the second hardest part of self-publishing is making your own book cover, because the first is definitely formatting. It's a pain in the wrong place. The other thing is you got to think about like your book covers like this. Like, does it look professional? It shouldn't look immature, because then it doesn't. Then when it gets printed, you're like, oh no, it looks horrible, or you know, whatever. And it's really. It's not a good feeling. So I just really want you all to very strongly think about this when I say it. Is your book cover that you made on Canva or on I'll list a couple other websites, just let me think, on whatever platform, something that you would pick up at the bookstore. There's your Adobe Express, there's your Photoshop, there's your Canva. Now, Canva I have personally good experience with, and if I find any others, I'll definitely mention it in a video or maybe on like my community post tab place. So I will definitely let you guys know if I have any other platforms that I think would be really, really good for book covers. But as of now, I know that Photoshop has a lot of options. I know that Adobe is really, really good for designing of any kind. So I'm sure it's going to be really good for book covers too. And Canva, I've personally experienced with, it is really useful, especially if you've got premium. Cries in free plan. Hopefully maybe I'll do like a trial on Canva, finish my book cover, and then cancel the trial. But yeah, or maybe I'll keep it. I mean, I use Canva a lot, so maybe this is just a great excuse to get Canva Premium. Alright, moving on. Now there's only 2 more categories left, but this one is an important one. As I talked about earlier, self-publishing does mean you gotta do everything yourself, which includes marketing your book. There are several ways to market. A lot of times the best marketing is just having your book at bookshops. But in this day and age, in the day and age of media and online shopping and Amazon, perhaps I should suggest some more creative outlets, such as YouTube. Hi guys, that's what I and multiple other authors do, because YouTube is such a great platform. And also, I think it might be the most tamed platform compared to like Instagram and stuff. At least that's what I think. I don't know. But every social media platform is cool, but I would say YouTube is still okay compared to Instagram, because Instagram comments go wild. But then I suppose another platform is Instagram. Instagram is a good way to market your book, in the sense that you could make some of those, you can make videos in many different forms. Like you can make videos like I do, because I mean my channel is a mixture of music and literature, so I feel like Rory Gilmore when I said that. But it's like a blend of the two. So when I say grow your channel, I mean you might have to do some of those atypical book talk videos to just get some views and get some likes and stuff, so that people finally know who you are, and then you can start posting very specific content to your book, which is my plan. Stay tuned. But yeah, so one of the main reasons I started this channel, because I genuinely think that the best way to market is to use social media, especially since everything is done online now. So while maybe putting your books in a bunch of bookshops and stuff would be useful, in this day and age, it would be good to start a channel or a social media platform too. So there's YouTube, there's Instagram. Another one would definitely be TikTok. TikTok is a great way to sort of gain followers, because book talk exists, so you could just like merge a bit of book talk in your channel as well if you like to read too. So you could do like a couple of those, like ranking all my books, or my favorite yada, or my most recommended books to people, and you could just sneak your own book in, because hey, we love to promote narcissism. There's Instagram, there's YouTube, there's TikTok, and then I think surprisingly another one might be making it an experience. So by that's like a very weird way to phrase it, but what I mean is you could make a website or a blog. I know people think that like people don't read blogs or anything, but a lot of times, in my head at least, the concept of blogs and websites sort of merges, so which makes it like sometimes I use so many blogs for like baking recipes or cooking recipes, or even when I was trying to publish like my book, like tip web publishing tips and stuff like that, or formatting tips. I use so many blogs / websites without even realizing it. So maybe you could start one of those and sell your book from that website. There could be a choice to buy your book from there, which would be pretty cool too. And and I think it would be a great way, because you could give other writers and help them out with a couple of tips, like, oh, how do you format your book? Make an entire blog, like your first blog might be about how to start writing. or how to use Canva to make a book cover, or some of the best book covers so you can get some inspiration, stuff like that, basically. And that would be a great way to market your own book, because at the end you could be like, and this is advice, or in the beginning, this is advice coming from the author of this book, Nancy Stewart. I don't know why that was the first name I thought of, but Nancy Stewart, okay? And that's a great way to make to market your book as well. Lastly, tips on formatting. Only the worst part of publishing, or self-publishing rather. Formatting, it's a bit of a pain. So first, I think very important thing, whoever you're getting your book published by, whoever is helping you print your book, if you're self-publishing, you might want to talk to them. So for example, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, I'm using the dimensions that are set on their website that are they even have templates for that matter that are oh, you can only use 6 by 9 inches as your trim for your book, so etc. And even with fonts and stuff. So you gotta consider that as well. Whoever you're getting your book printed by, they should know, you should know what they want you to do. Otherwise it would be a problem because you'd have to change everything again, and that's not fun. I have tried to format on Google Docs and on Word. Until now, Word documents has been not that helpful for me. I have not enjoyed using it, to be really frank with you, and I think it's a lot harder than Google Docs. So my personal recommendation, and I've seen a bunch of other self-publishing authors as well, such as Ali Mary, which is her YouTube name. I'm not sure if that's her real name. She also uses Google Docs, and that's where I got the inspiration from to use Google, or try Google Docs instead of Word, because Word was not, me and Word were beefing that day. It was bad. What happens with formatting is that it's basically how your book is going to be printed. It's the dimensions, essentially, of how your book is going to be printed, mainly. There's also the stuff of having a part for copyright, that sort of stuff is also to be included there. You know what I'll do? I will link this tutorial in the description for formatting. That was so useful for me. In fact, I'll link two, and there was also a blog that I used, so I'll link all of that so that you guys can have a go at it as well, because it was a blessing. And I would have struggled so much because I did not know this existed until 3 weeks into the process of doing editing and whatnot. So it was a toughie, to say the least. And it was rough because I was so confused, and for literally 2 hours I was just doing random using tutorials for Word document, and I struggled to the point where I gave up that day, and I had to sit again and waste 3 hours, and I was struggling so much. So that's why I'm emphasizing on how hard formatting is, so that you authors out there take it seriously and give some time to it, because it does take time. Unless you're really good at that kind of stuff, because it could also be just a personal thing that I'm just not that good at using Word and that kind of stuff. So maybe it's that. I'm not sure. I think something very important, I literally have a note that says mention. So very important to mention while formatting is that the main dimensions are either 6 by 9 inches for novels or fiction novels or poetry books or those kind of things. The main dimensions are either 6 by 9 inches or 5.5 by 8.5 inches. So those are, I chose 6 by 9, I'm pretty sure. If it changes at any point, I'll let you guys know. Maybe while editing this, it'll change, but I will definitely let y'all know. I don't think it should, But right as of now, my book is 6x9. A lot of people do 5.5 by 8.5 inches. This is in inches, by the way. And a bunch of people do like other dimensions as well. This is just the main ones. In fact, I'll put up a picture here of like all of the updated sort of dimensions and what type of books they're for and how those books would look like, in case you guys are making like a children's book, which is like, you know, supposed to be landscape or whatever, so that you have as much information as you could need. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I am so happy that I could make this, because the main reason I created this channel was to help out all of the other young teen authors out there, because when I started doing this, I was really struggling, and tutorials are what got me through it. So I'm hoping this publishing 101 video helped you and it didn't just confuse you even more. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I will make sure to answer, because I know it's tough and I know I would have loved to have somebody who could answer questions for me. Okay, thank you for watching once again, and bye bye.